Okay, so the game I'm going to be looking at today is called Gone Home. Before I start the Let's Play, I just wanted to have a little disclaimer. I am just a white dude sitting in his basement right now, about to show you this game, and just talking at you completely without much preparation. And I thought that's exactly what the video game community and Let's Play needed, because that's not how most of them work. So, yeah, cool. I'm gonna get into it. So this game came out in August of 2013. It's produced, or it was created by the Fullbright Company, which is a four-person independent video game studio from Portland, Oregon, that was founded the year before. And this is Fullbright's first game, and it's garnered kind of a lot of praise, and I think for good reason, and we'll see why in a second. It has a really long load time. That is not why it's garnered attention. So essentially, I'm going to walk outside and show you what the beginning of the game looks like. I've already played for a few hours in this playthrough, so a lot of things are already uncovered. But sort of the framing for this game is that you are this 21-year-old girl in, I think, 1995. Your name is Caitlin Greenbrier. You live in Portland, and it's June 6th, the middle of the summer. And you've come home from a year in Europe. Your family has moved to this new giant house on this place called Arbor Hill. That's the street. And they keep referring it to the house on Arbor Hill. And essentially, your great uncle lived there, and you've never been to the house, presumably, and you come home at like 1 in the morning after taking a cab from the airport, and your entire family is gone, your mother, your father, and your 17-year-old little sister. And you spend the whole game trying to figure out what happened. It's not so mystery-driven in that something terrible occurred and you're trying to piece together who did what. It's more it's very human. You are trying to find out what happened as if this actually happened to you. There's no sign that there was any struggle or anything bad actually went down. So there aren't actually a lot of puzzles in the game. It's kind of just like this exploration in this really nice sense, but this is one of the first ones where you come home and there's this letter that says to Katie, I'm sorry, I can't be there to see you. It's impossible. Please don't go digging around to find out where I am. I don't want anyone to know. And then the door's locked, and you basically have to find the key. It ends up being under this little duck in like a very classic family key hiding spot location. I hope I didn't just ruin that for anyone who's going to play. So you open the door, and you have to turn on all the lights. And then you're in this like giant manor where the family essentially moved in like 9 months ago, but there's still boxes everywhere. And it's kind of weird, and it definitely doesn't feel homey. And so you essentially have to figure out what happens. And you do that. First of all, the whole game is first person, and you don't see any characters. You have to piece together sort of an idea of your mother and your father and your sister through scattered letters and notes that you read. And the only actual time that you see anyone is in this one picture, and it's a family portrait. It's assumed that you're at the top, and then your mother, father, and daughter, Jesus, your sister, are below you, and that's the only time that you actually see the characters that you're kind of um, reading about and listening to messages from, um, and basically like the subject of the whole game. The story progresses as you find these artifacts. Occasionally, Samantha, your younger sister's voice, will come on and read you a note or tell you a story. The voice acting in this game is incredible. I probably won't find a note while I'm kind of exploring the house. I'm really bad at multitasking, so sorry I've just been talking at you and not showing you anything. I'm just going to kind of walk you around the house and try and maintain a level of coherency in my language. That probably won't work. This is Samantha's room, the 17-year-old younger sister. The story ends up being mostly about her. She has a super like 1990s riot girl room that's kind of like a punk movement from the early 90s in the Pacific Northwest that this game embodies really accurately. There are all kinds of things like cassettes that you can play, little like zines that you find around. It's incredibly 90s. You open her locker and there's like things like cigarettes and girly mags. To your parents' room. It's kind of one of the scariest things in this game because it's really distraught and like they left in a hurry. There are definitely a few parts in this game that I got freaked out playing. I played it the first time during a thunderstorm alone. There's really nothing scary about it, and you never see anyone else or anything that's terrifying, but there's this kind of haunting overall feel about this house, and you end up reading some things. Here's a journal. I think this is a ghost hunter's journal. It's all like handwritten, really nice. And yeah, it can be kind of scary. Also, you have a map of the house. This is one of the weird things I think in the game. Maybe it's fitting because video games need maps, but it's kind of weird that you have a map to this house. Most of the game's really coherent in how the situation would be if it were real life, but you have this map that kind of shows you marks important areas. Like this is a like trapdoor that you read about, and then it's marked on the map, and you can go and find stuff there. Occasionally, doors will be locked, and they'll be marked, and you have to find keys to them. They sort of expand the environment that you're playing in, and that's kind of how the game evolves. But it is strange that you have this map. I'm going to play a journal entry from Samantha to kind of show you the voice acting and how the story progresses. The voice acting is really awesome. But essentially you just find this. Okay.
Dear Katie, so much has changed, even just since you've been away. We moved into this house. I'm at a new school. And my big sister being gone for a year doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't feel real. But I'm not gonna let it faze me. I used to tell you everything, and if I can't do it in person, because you're off gallivanting around who knows where, I'll tell it to this journal, just like I was talking to you.
This is a really big part of the game. This is the attic, and pretty early on you find a note on the ground that basically says don't go in the attic, and the attic's locked. And it's really mysterious. And it also says, it's basically Sam's dark room, and it says don't enter when the red lights are on. And the way that dark rooms work is generally the red lights are on when someone's in there, and you don't go in because you don't want to expose whatever film or photographic paper that they're working with. So it's kind of eerie in the sense that the whole time that you're playing the game, you're kind of in the back of your mind wondering if someone is in the attic. So essentially they never set up your room, which is also kind of strange because they had like 9 months to do it. You kind of get the feeling the family is slightly falling apart. There are a lot of themes. Some of the main themes in the game are ones of obviously family, and a big one with Sam is kind of sexuality and adolescence that is developed over these audio recordings and the things that you find. But one big one is marriage, and you kind of a side narrative to the game is that you find out that your parents' marriage is slightly falling apart. So that could be why they have done nothing really to contact you that much, or weren't there when you came home, and never gave a shit about setting up your room. But how do I go downstairs? Hold on. The house is absolutely gigantic. Every time you think that the game might be over soon because you've seen all of the places you can see, there is so much more. There's an interesting side thread, like narrative about the father, who you kind of find out is this failed writer who likes to write these really kind of cheesy conspiracy novels about JFK. And then there are all kinds of like safes around the house where the combinations are allusions to like JFK and all of these. There's stacks of his books that didn't sell, which is pretty interesting. I think I might be running out of time. Before I quit, I want to kind of say that this game does a really good thing in that it's not a game for gamers. It totally can be, and I like playing video games, and I'd say that I'm a gamer, and it's great, but it's also really approachable for people because it has kind of these universal human themes that feel really realistic. It's also really approachable and easy. You have this first-person perspective, and you're kind of just walking around. My parents have never played any video games, and I tried to play with them over the break, and it took like an hour for them to figure out how to strafe and look. But once they got that down, they could pretty much play it on their own. And they had literally never played any video game before, and they said that they got a lot out of it. I completely recommend this game. If you haven't played it, it's like $10 on Steam, I think. And it was one of the highlights of my summer. I hope I did an okay job of explaining the overview of this game. Oh, this is a really nice room I'm going to show you before I peace out. You essentially come into this room and just the TV's on, and there's like old things like pizza. There's a pillow fort that your sister and her friend made. There's tons of like X-Files videos around. It just really does a good job of grasping 1990s living, a 1990s family, and an adolescent spent in the 90s. Okay, so I'm gonna bounce, but I hope you guys play this game. It's really fantastic, and I've enjoyed it a lot.